everyone. It's Al Nygren, Executive Director and Curator of the New Jersey Film Festival, back with our second interview for the fall 2019 season. We have a wonderful filmmaker here who I'll introduce to you in a second. The New Jersey Film Festival will be taking place between September 13th and October 13th on select Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings between those dates, starting at 7 p.m. in our wonderful space, Voorhees Hall, which is located adjacent to the Zimmerli Art Museum on the Rutgers University campus in New Brunswick, New Jersey, at 71 Hamilton Street. Programs take place at 7 p.m. on those show dates, and you can check out the lineup at our website, which is njfilmfest.com. Today, we have the director of the wonderful documentary entitled Two Trentons. His name is Brad Mays. He's actually an alumnus of our film festival. We screened one of his other documentaries at our festival, but this one is about a very interesting city, the capital city of New Jersey. And I was able to finally get to watch this film all the way through prior to our interview, and I was fascinated with how you broke down the film into basically what I think is three parts. Even though there's two Trentons, there seems to be three parts to the film. The first one focuses on the artistic side of the artistic resurgence of the festival. Mm-hmm. The second more has to do with the interaction with the religious community. And the third, kind of history of the city itself. Am I way off?
No, you're not way off at all. It's interesting that you should say that, because at heart, I'm an Aristotelian, beginning, middle, and end. You know, so 3 acts, and I'm trained in the theater and also in dramatic films. So 3-act play. You know, we were talking about Stanley Kubrick a little earlier, and he doesn't do 3 acts.
No, he doesn't.
But I do, and it's true. The very beginning does focus pretty much on the art scene and music scenes. In the second act, we go into history. We get into more of the theme of the city as a city, you know, rather than trying to focus on what its aspirations are. We focus on what the history is, and you know, and problems galore. Yeah. In the third act, it's a little dicier. I think that we come back to the arts a bit, but then we have the Art All Night shooting, which happens. And there's a lot of discussion about that.
And you got some amazing footage of that too.
Yeah.
How did you get that?
Well, a lot of sources, and in fact, I was asked by our Artworks to cut back on that stuff. So I had about 3 times more of that footage in there. But we were watching it. The producer Joe Houlihan and me and a couple of other people. We were watching it, and they really said, man, this is a downer. This really is a downer. And I was even encouraged to take all of that footage out. I refused to do that. Right. But yeah.
Well, it's a nodal point, because, we should tell people what the Art All Night event is, because I'm sure many people around here don't know what that is. Do you want to tell them?
Well, Artworks is, as Jeff Stewart so eloquently put it in the film, it's the go-to center in Trenton for the arts. There were other places as well, but Artworks Trenton originated in Princeton and then came. And
they're half a century old, right?
Yeah, pretty much, I think. Yeah, maybe not quite that old, but so, and they're very responsive to the community. I mean, they encourage lessons and education. You know, filmmakers have film screened there, and what happens, though, is that Artworks and a couple of other people are also behind the Art All Night event, which is 24-hour art orgy, you know, in the Roebling
And so
Center.
They have a gallery lined up.
It's insane. It's incredible.
So it's theater, music, film, everything.
And tons of paintings and sculpture.
Right.
Then, unfortunately, last year, there was a shooting. You know, it was gang-related. You know, it didn't have anything to do with art or anything at all, but it happened. Right. And it was also my final day of shooting.
Wow.
According to our then schedule. I called up Joe, the producer, and I said, well, I think our film just took a change.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we continued working on it.
Right, because that's one of the things that you point out in the documentary, the stigma of Trenton, where, you know, God, we can't go there, it's a dangerous place. I mean, people talk about New Brunswick that way. When I first came to New Jersey in the early 80s, oh, you can't go to New Brunswick because it's a dangerous place, you get mugged. But of course, that's not the reality. And I think that's the same with Trenton.
There is that, but you know, there's a wonderful line. The guy that runs the Trenton Coffee House, he says, he talks about his family. And he's a real long-haired guy,
I remember.
East European. His wife is Islamic,
Right,
you know.
Muslim.
And he says, you know, we could live in a white suburban neighborhood, but you can't be people like us and live there.
Right.
It just
They
doesn't
feel
work.
comfortable there.
He said, but there is safety in Trenton. There is safety in diversity. I thought that was a really inspired moment that I had.
And that's one of the things that I loved about your film, is the fact that it does encourage, you know, people to look at this, at people as people.
Right.
And that through the arts, and Jeff Stewart said this as well, that, you know, through the arts you build the society and the community.
Precisely, yeah. You know, you take a city that's really on its last legs, and artists have a tendency to move into these areas because it's cheap and they can rent studio space, and little by little it elevates the whole culture, you know, until there is a culture, and then of course, you know.
And then it's co-opted by the
Right,
corporations.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'm hoping that doesn't happen to Trenton.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah. So folks, you have to absolutely see this film, which is premiering at our festival, that's correct, on Sunday, September 15th at 7 p.m. in Voorhees Hall 105. At 7 p.m. there are 2 short films that have music-related themes. My job as the curator is to try to find a home for some of these short films with the features.
Which is a wonderful thing.
And I thought the first film, which is also by a Jersey filmmaker, his name is Tom Levy, it's called On Vinyl, Revival and Survival, about the vinyl revival. And it's he's going to be there to do a Q&A along with you. And then Daniel Ferrer's film is a short fiction film called Ex Disposer, about a drummer trying to get back in his band. So
well, drummers are great.
This is an amazing drummer.
They're wild men.
He is a wild man here. So that definitely is going to fit nicely with the screening of your film. And Brad is going to be there to do a Q&A.
Yes, I am.
And
Barbara Curtis, who was a graphic artist and who helped with editing, she'll be there.
I had one last question,
Yeah.
since I think we have a few more seconds, that there is one line where one of the performers talks about wanting to keep Trenton hidden. Is that something that, do you think this film will help keep it hidden, or?
No, I think that what he was saying, and I don't ever try to interpret, you know, they
other
speak for
folks
themselves,
say, yeah.
right? But I think what he was getting at was that Trenton is kind of its own little autonomous place, and it's a little petri dish, and you know, stuff is bubbling up to the surface and everything, things are beginning to happen, and it hasn't really gone prime time yet.
Yeah,
you know, it's still kind of hidden. And I think he said that he likes the fact that it is hidden at this point.
Yeah.
But there will come a time
where it will no longer
exactly.
be hidden.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Brad. It was
Thank
wonderful
you.
chatting with
Really.
you. And folks, again, Sunday, September 15th at 7 p.m., Voorhees Hall. Come and check out this wonderful film. More information at njfilmfest.com. And have a great day. Thanks again.
Thanks you.
There are 2 sides to Trenton. You have the daytime Trenton and you have the nighttime Trenton. Most of the people who visit the city of Trenton only visit during the daytime. And you can see some pretty interesting things during the daytime. But that is absolutely nothing compared to the nightlife in Trenton.